In the previous episode, I mentioned that Sayid hasn't been around much, and Jack didn't even come to him about the army. He wasn't even at his tent. Therefore, I will start this episode with a very fan-related theory. The first part of it is this, which is a stretch, I know, but hear me out. In the episode, the Long Con will see that the armor is wider than before, and there is a light here.
Give me a boost up. It's no use. I bolted it shut from the inside. You what?
I mean, what are we, to believe that this is some sort of, magic xylophone or something? Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
The armory became larger because it had to accommodate the coming storyline of Ben being Henry Gale. So when Sayid was down there, while Charlie and Hurley were listening to some cool tunes, Sayid might have checked out the electrical cables and finding one that led here. And to explain the growing armory, I think Sayid might have discovered this secret wall that he took down. The Dharma Initiative liked secret and weird rooms anyway, like this hallway. However, I find it unlikely that it happened at this time because John locked the armory door before they took off when they went to find Michael. Could have happened later though, but this isn't the main reason Sayid is gone. I honestly thought he went for a hike. We are still deep in theory land. Hurley knows from the episode Numbers that Rousseau told her that the radio tower is up by the Black Rock.
There's a radio tower on this island?
Yes. Up by the Black Rock.
Hurley has been at the Black Rock. In Rousseau's overhead map, she has this notation about the transmitter's location. Some mappers have placed the radio tower here at this mark, since the notation is here on the western side. I disagree, and I will talk more about the radio tower's location when we come to the season 3 finale, because I think it's here. But if Sayid managed to translate this phrase, I think Sayid would have tried to find the radio tower, and that is the reason why he is gone. Hurley could have told Sayid in the living area, like roughly where the old ship was located. Sayid was so adamant on finding the source of the distress signal in season 1 that he might have gotten a slight glimmer of hope now. My theory is that Sayid went to this location, following Rousseau's markings. He was around here, looking at the mountaintops, going around in circles, trying to find the radio tower. He likely arrived at the Black Rock, maybe went inside to see if he could find anything useful, any maps that could help him, or other stuff for the beach camp. But no luck. The radio tower isn't here, so therefore he will head back to the beach camp. In the next episode, Sayid will be hesitant of trying the radio Bernard found. He has lost interest, which is partly why I think Sayid went to the radio tower in this slot in the timeline, because in my head it fits well as a story. Hurley telling him about the Black Rock and the radio tower, Sayid unable to find it, feeling let down.
Tried to send a signal with the plane's transceiver, and all we got was the French woman's message on a loop. Why would I bother?
And at the end of the day, they have a happy evening together, listening to Moonlight Serenade. We'll see this in the next episode. Another off-screen thing, and this is not really a theory because we know that a group of the others had to settle itself at the decoy village. They are awaiting Michael, and he needs to see that they are hanging up dried fish and live a primitive life. Now back to the episode. It is day 54, November 14th. Charlie is having dreams about Aaron. So he comments about Ana Lucia and Jack coming out of the jungle. I'm thinking that Jack is giving her the big tour, such as the caves and the various locations around the beach camp. It's nighttime. Charlie is having dreams again. I think this dream is quite interesting. First of all, this filter is made to look like a painting, referencing the painting The Baptism of Christ, painted by Andrea del Verrochio and his pupil Leonardo da Vinci. Art historian Vasari has said that Verrocchio had already done the main work. Leonardo painted an angel who was holding some garments, and despite his youth, he executed it in such a manner that his angel was far better than the figures painted by his teacher Verrocchio. This painting has an extra layer of importance since the entire episode literally opens to a close-up of it. Compared to other openers that either begins right into the action or a flashback sequence, this one fades in to the hands of God. A dove and rays of sunlight shine through, which symbolize the Holy Spirit shining above them, revealing Jesus' divine nature. Enhanced by Charlie coming down the stairway to heaven into the living room where it's Christmas, the holiday commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ. Anyway, the painting is referenced throughout this dream. If you look over here, a raptor swoops down over the head of John the Baptist and into the trees in the background. This is referenced with the beechcraft in the dream.
Baby is in danger. You have to see.
You see it here. The angels are represented by his mom Megan and Claire. This angel is described as more divine than this one, which makes sense since Charlie's mom passed away, while Claire is alive. And the dove is also seen, this time flying out of the painting. And Hurley coming out as John the Baptist, possibly foreshadowing his role as the future protector of the island. Does this mean that Aaron is the Messiah? We already have the parallels to Moses with the famous story of baby Moses that was placed in a papyrus basket and floated down the river Nile. Now we have the baptism of Christ. For all we know, Hurley could have had a different way of leading the island after the series ended. Instead of Jacob, who had the job for 2,000 years, kind of like a monarch ruling out until his death, Hurley could have a modern way of leading the island, and after like 4 to 8 years, like a president or a prime minister, he could pass the job to someone else, maybe a grown-up Aaron who comes to the island in his late 30s, takes the job for a few years, when Hurley, Ben and Walt feel that they are done working. Let's wake up from this dream. This time he wakes up on the shore holding Aaron. The next day Charlie goes to the Swan, waits for Locke to come out and asks him to put a good word for her. A little bit later, Hurley and Libby go to the Swan station to do laundry. She comments about the washer and dryer being newer than everything else here.
Is this washer and dryer newer than everything else in here?
It washes clothes, that's all I need to know.
And she is completely correct. This is a Kenmore Elite HE3T washer and dryer set, released in the fall of 2000.
Exclusively from Kenmore Elite.
So this had to have come here and be installed just a few years prior to this episode. Many years since Dharma was purged on the island. I wonder what kind of packaging they would have if this was dropped from a plane with the rest of the food. Washer and dryers don't last forever, so I can't imagine someone contacting the Flame and then ordering one. And like Mikhail, currently being in the Flame, just played along with it. Also, since Desmond never got out of the hatch, I think it's likely this set came during Kelvin and Radzinski's time here, because carrying a washer and dryer is a two-man job, especially through the jungle. Anyway, not much happens in this episode regarding treks on the island. Charlie goes to his stash, Locke follows him. He takes the statues, he goes back to the beach and talks to Claire, then suggests to bring his stuff so he can sleep in close proximity to Claire. Therefore, in an off-screen scene, Locke goes to the hatch and then back. It is nighttime. Charlie lights a fire as a distraction and snatches Aaron to try to baptize him in the sea. Finally, we see Sayid for the first time in this episode.
Echo! Tell him! Tell him, Echo! Tell him what you told me! That the baby has to be baptized!
This is not the way.
Surrounded by the entire camp, a dismayed Echo and a distressed Claire surrenders Aaron before Locke punches him. Technically, we also have some events happening on the other side of the island, with Michael being brought to the decoy village, but I am going to cover those events when we come to the episode 3 minutes. It is the next day. Jack stitches up Charlie's face. Echo baptizes both Claire and Aaron. Locke goes back to the hatch with the statues, and then it is nighttime again. So not much happened on this day. I know that this episode is not that well received in the Lost fan community, but I think it's quite underrated. Stay tuned for the next week's episode, and please subscribe for more island exploration.